high-ranking official named Juan was strolling in his courtyard in late spring. His eyes were immediately drawn to the willow trees by the pond. He stared at their branches for a long time without moving. Guess why he cared so much about these willows? The origin of the idiom "Choo-choo Kalyang delicate and pitiable" lies right here. His attendant thought the willow branches were blocking the way, but Juan said, "Look at these willow branches, they hang down softly and sway with the wind. They're so endearing that you can't help but feel for them." Juan reached out and gently pinched a willow branch, his fingertips brushing the tender green leaves. His gaze suddenly grew distant. These willows reminded him of an event from many years ago, and someone he had never stopped thinking about. Back then, Juan was still young and lived in an old house. His cousin often came to play with him. Once, his cousin stood under a willow tree, broke off a branch, and said, "Cousin, this willow branch is soft. I'll weave a willow hat for you to wear." While weaving the hat, her finger was scratched by a willow leaf. Her eyes immediately turned red, and she let out a soft Her fragile appearance was exactly the same as the willow branches in front of him now, making people involuntarily want to protect her. But his cousin didn't cry. She still smiled and handed the woven willow hat to Juan saying, "You'll look great in this." Her mix of fragility and thoughtfulness had stayed in Juan's heart ever since. Juan let go of the willow branch, sighed, and said, "The willow branches back then, just like these now, are also Choo-choo Kalyang." A maid, curious, asked what Choo-choo Kalyang meant. Juan replied, "Look at these willows, they sway when the wind blows, so soft that you can't bear to touch them. That's Choo-choo Kalyang." The maid looked at the willows and indeed felt a sense of tenderness and pity for them. In the evening, his family came to find him. His wife asked if he had something on his mind. Juan said, "Seeing these willows made me think of things from the past. These branches are so Choo-choo Kalyang." When his son tried to break a willow branch, Juan stopped him. He couldn't bear to harm the soft branches. Juan knelt down and said to his son, "These willow branches sway even at the lightest touch. They're so fragile. You can't break them casually, you have to take good care of them." His son nodded, half understanding, and said, "They're Choo-choo Kalyang, I won't touch them." Even a child could tell the willows deserve to be cherished. Early the next morning, Juan specifically told the gardener, "Take good care of these willows. Don't let them lack water, and don't break their branches." The gardener said, "Rest assured, sir. Such Choo-choo Kalyang willows, I'll definitely take good care of them and keep them from being harmed." Later, when Juan hosted a banquet for guests, someone praised the willows for being beautiful. Juan said, "They're not just beautiful, they're also Choo-choo Kalyang, so people can't bear to hurt them." The guests leaned in for a closer look and nodded, saying, "Indeed, who could bear to touch such soft willow branches?" A guest asked, "Does Choo-choo Kalyang come from these willows?" Juan nodded and said, "Yes. I thought of this phrase when I saw their fragile appearance. Later, it can also be used to describe delicate people." From then on, Choo-choo Kalyang was no longer just used to describe scenery, but also people. Once, a young lady from a neighboring family passed by, saw the willows, and said, "These willows are really Choo-choo Kalyang." The maid smiled and said, "Miss, you're so delicate, you're just as Choo-choo Kalyang as they are." You see, the phrase was soon used to describe people. Later, Choo-choo Kalyang Choo-choo Kalan became an idiom. Originally, it described willow branches that were fragile and worthy of pity. Later, it also came to describe people who were delicate and made others unable to bear to hurt them.